Everybody, good evening, and I must just compliment Nicola and Prague for that super conversation. It was really enlightening and I really enjoyed it. So on behalf of everybody, well done Nicola and Prague. As we are hearing all day long today, change is constant, and I think it's fair to say that we're seeing more change this year in IDA. As you know, Frank Ryan completed his term of 10 years as chairman of IDA Ireland, and he provided a sterling contribution to the country and obviously to IDA Ireland. And today the Minister and Michael announced the appointment of two new board appointments today, one being the appointment of Marion Corcoran, a current member of our board, as Vice Chair. And we all know Marion. She has been deeply involved in IDA over years, has spoken at events within IDA, and also many of us are attending the board as well, so we know her quite well. And we're delighted to have her as our Vice Chair. In tandem with that, we have the newly appointed Chair, which is Feargal O'Rourke. And indeed, I think Feargal is known to some of us within IDA Ireland as well, simply because of his previous background. Feargal spent 37 years in PwC and has worked as managing partner in the last 8 years. Prior to that, he would have been known to us because he was a tax partner in PwC, but also was also very heavily involved in technology on the West Coast US. So I know some of my colleagues from the West Coast are familiar and know Feargal well as well. Feargal went to UCD, I think did a BCom, Feargal, if I'm correct, is a member of the Chartered Accountants of Ireland, and also is an associate of the Irish Tax Institute. Hence his knowledge, and it will be very beneficial to us as well. And just to add for good measure, Feargal is a native of Athlone, but lives in Dublin. So I'd just like to hand over to Feargal now, congratulate both Marion and Feargal on behalf of everyone in IDA, hand over to Feargal for Chairman's remarks. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much for that, and you've given most of my life story already, so that'll shorten the talk by a few minutes. It would be remiss of me not also, though, to follow Mary's comments about my predecessor, Frank. And I've worked with Frank for many, many years, and he provided sage and wise advice to the IDA for the last 10 years, and before that to Enterprise Ireland. And in fact, for those of you who are interested in seeing him one last time, I'm meeting him next Tuesday in IDA offices to do a thorough handover. So he'll be around from 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning for any of you who want to say a final goodbye to him. But just a little bit more about myself, maybe the more interesting parts than my institute memberships and my background. I'm Feargal O'Rourke. I'm 59. I'm married to Maeve with two kids, Jennifer 21 and Sam 19. I love them dearly, but their most regular remark to me these days is "Rev me, Dad." I'm sure most of you will be familiar with that. I am a Connacht Rugby, Westmeath GAA and Leeds United supporter, for anybody who's asking those difficult questions. And 37 years ago, a little over 37 years ago, on the 8th of October 1986, my life changed. On that day, I joined what was Price Waterhouse and worked for a partner called Tygo Donoghue, who 90% of you won't remember, but who was a legend in the foreign direct investment area in those days. And in my induction memo that everybody got when they joined in those days, there was a single line that said, "I'm going to ask you to focus on the tax aspects of foreign direct investment in Ireland." And that single line changed my career. It led me to work with brilliant companies around the world, not just on the West Coast, but companies like Coca-Cola, companies in Japan. I worked in Fujisawa back in the day, and other companies from the IDA stable around the world. Completely changed my life, and it led me to this point here to stand before you as the chair of IDA Ireland after those 37 years. And when Michael and I were chatting as I took over the new role, I said, Michael, the good news for you is I know a lot about the agency and I know a lot about the landscape, so you won't have to baby me too much. I said, the bad news is I know a lot about the agency and I know a lot about the landscape, so you won't be able to snow me too much either. So what do I know about the IDA? The IDA is a world-class organization. And that's not just me talking. In all the companies that I've worked with over the last 37 years, to a man and a woman, they will talk about the professionalism of the IDA. They will talk about how the IDA is in the top 1 or 2 agencies around the world for attracting inward investment. They'll mention Singapore and they'll mention Israel, but they'll always mention Ireland and the professionalism of the people there. And they will go on to mention the key things that have made the IDA great. That focus on relationships. It was interesting listening to Bernard Jackman earlier, how he got in to see Alex Ferguson because of a relationship. He knew somebody who knew somebody. And that's what people in the IDA do really well. They know somebody who gets them in the door. But getting in the door for one meeting isn't good enough. It's not speed dating. It's persistence that those client companies are looking for. And you go back time and time and time and time again. That persistence, that perseverance that each one of you have put into your roles over those years, that's why those companies come to Ireland. You don't just turn up one day and appear and not appear again for a year. You're back the following month, you're thinking about the clients, you're contacting them, you're letting them know what's going on. And this is in the face of intense competition from countries like the UK, who have 4 and 5 times the people we have operating in the same marketplace as you, and yet you still manage to somehow beat them every single time. And I did the job that many of you are doing, or a job very similar to it. My job over the last 25 or more years was driving up and down 101 on the West Coast, calling into companies who were in Ireland, companies who were thinking about Ireland, and companies who weren't even, Ireland wasn't even on the landscape, and they might have been hard-pressed to find where Ireland was on a map. And my job was to sell Ireland. If you read some of the media about me, it'd say my job was to make sure they paid as little tax in Ireland as possible. Well, the last few years have shown actually it's been a fantastic strategy for Ireland, getting companies to come here and pay their tax and locate their people here and locate their operations here. And I'm really honoured and delighted to be the chair of IDA. And what's my role and what's Marion's role over the next while? At a fundamental level, our job is to help maximize our compliance, minimize our risks, make sure our brand or reputation are preserved. Our job is to work with Michael and Mary and the team to execute on the strategy that they've outlined now, and to make sure that we are fit for purpose. Because the one sure thing is, what got us here in the last 5 or 10 years has been absolutely the efforts of everyone in this room. But in my previous job as managing partner at PwC, I realized the time you need to be most worried is when things are going really, really well. When you think it's all rosy and the jobs are coming in, the tax is coming in, you need to be a bit paranoid. And it was great to hear today about change, because change is here and change is coming. And the 2 twin focuses of transformation, digital transformation and transforming business, and sustainability, they will be absolutely key for all our client companies over the next few years. And we need to be leading the way with them, helping them on that journey. And I'm delighted to see in the organizational restructure that Michael and Mary and the team have focused on creating a new area around client transformation, which will be massively important. Now, there might be some of you out there who are thinking, what can I tell Apple about engineering? What can I tell Google about engineering and transformation? They're not going to listen to me. I'm only from the IDA. You guys and gals have a fantastic privileged position to see what's going on in so many companies across the scope of your portfolios. And I know myself again in my previous role, I had that same privilege. I was able to talk to lots of companies and find out what they were doing. And any company that's going on a transformational journey or a sustainable journey, they don't know how it's going to play out. They want to hear what other people are doing. They want to hear what best practice is. And you're in a fantastic position to say, well, other companies are thinking about this, or other companies are doing that. And don't undersell or underplay the insights that every one of you are able to bring from the client companies you have. That's fantastic knowledge for those client companies that you're talking to. That is gold dust to them. It helps them know, are we on the right track? Are we doing the right things? Are we kind of doing what everybody else is doing to get on that right road? But we've got to do it to ourselves. I always loved Albert Reynolds, former Taoiseach, as many of you know, used to run a company called C&D Dog Food. Very successful dog food company. Albert used to try the dog food himself to make sure it was good enough for his clients. And I always use that phrase a lot, you've got to eat your own dog food. If we're going to talk, not literally, but if we're going to talk about transformation and sustainability to our client companies, we've got to do it to ourselves first. And again, in my past role, there was nothing better than being able to say to a client, well, this is what we've done to digitally upskill all our people. This is what we've done to go on our net zero journey. So I'd encourage you to embrace the internal transformation that takes place under the strategy set out by Michael and Mary and the team, as well as embracing the external strategy of helping clients transform and helping clients on the sustainability journey. I'm honoured, as I said, I'm delighted to be here. I know what it's like for many of you. I know what it's like knocking on doors time and time again, trying to get that little in, that little angle that will help you win that work. What I would say to you as chairman please feel free to use me and abuse me as you see fit. If there's an opportunity or something where you feel getting the chairman involved through making a call or turning up at a meeting or doing whatever, if that'll add 1% more to your efforts in winning that client for Ireland, I'm all ears. I look forward to meeting many of you later on this evening and over the coming weeks and months. Thanks very much.
I'm just here to give some closing remarks at the end of our 2024 annual conference. So just to reinforce, I think you got your revenge, Chair, by commenting on some of the things that I was going to say as we wrap up the day. But I think it is safe to say that there were a huge number of insights for us today. And I think that as we hear and as we listened and learned, I think we'll be able to take a lot away and use that in how we operate both internally and with our clients and stakeholders in the year ahead. We're a terrific organisation, and I know that we have been successful over 70 years. We are hugely resilient, and I think we've demonstrated that in particular in the last 5 years, and the results have shown it. Everybody today has talked about the turbulent and the challenging times that they're operating in. The word uncertainty has been used on numerous occasions. But as the Chair has just mentioned, being on the right track, I think we are on the right track. Our focus on transformation, client is at the heart of everything we do, is critical. And that is part of our culture, I think, and we will be really, really good at that, I think, again this year, because when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and I think that is IDA. So, to wrap up for today, there are a number of people that I'd just like to compliment and to thank. Firstly, on behalf of IDA, I'd like to thank Michael, our CEO, for steering the ship so well throughout 2023. I'd like to also recognise Mark Kelly. Mark seamlessly and professionally organised all of this event and was ably supported by Ben and by Tess. I'd also like to recognise all the speakers and all the contributors here today, many of them colleagues from IDA, clients and indeed stakeholders. Hugely beneficial to us in IDA at the beginning of the year to be able to get such valuable insights. And I'd like to also recognise and thank Minister Coveney for taking the time to join us this afternoon. It's early in the year and it's a busy time of the year, so we do appreciate, I think, his openness and his support for IDA was very evident today. And of course, I'd like to recognise everybody here, the IDA team, who have been superb all of 2023. And I think your ongoing commitment and support to everybody to collaborate and to ensure that we achieve our strategy and our goals and targets over the 4-year period and on an annual basis is very, very clear. And I think what's really nice about today is we have people with us travel back from overseas and from around the country, but also we have people who are attending here for the first time, and large numbers of people. Some have been in the organisation less than 12 months, and others are only on their second day today in the organisation. So that's pretty clear that we have a huge change also happening within the team in IDA. And I know that everybody works really closely with new colleagues to make sure that they settle in so very well. And I suppose finally then just to mention the networking session that we're having next, and just to tell everybody that we're having some GAA players in attendance, and I think that's going to be great. Just to give you a flavour for who they'll be, it's Mick Bohan and Hannah Tyrrell are some of the names. There are other names here as well, and they're representing the Dublin GAA women's team. We also have the Sam Maguire and the Brendan Martin Cups, so maybe we'll be able to get a little drink out of them, as I used to in my misspent youth. And also, just to also let you know that the CSR team are selling tickets, and as we saw this afternoon, Michael and the CSR team talking about Alzheimer's, our charity of choice for the next few months. So important to get on board, buy some tickets, great prizes, and the raffle will be at lunchtime tomorrow. And we have dinner this evening at 6 p.m, and the highlight of the evening will be the Values Awards, and so we look forward to hearing who the recipients are in this year for 2023. And while I'm at it, I will just also let you know that we kick off in the morning at 9 a.m, but it would be absolutely wonderful if everyone can be here at 8:45. That's a late start, unlike today's earlier start. So we look forward to seeing you then. So I'd just finally like to thank Verve for all of their work that they've done today, and to the hotel as well for the support. We're back here tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening, and look forward to seeing you again in the morning.